Hi everyone, and welcome to episode number 47 of the Karen Knits podcast. My name is Karen, and I'm coming to you from South Central Pennsylvania, where I live, where I work, where I knit and crochet, and get into all kinds of other crafty shenanigans. Today is Saturday, January 9th, 2021, and we got a beautiful, sunny, bright, blue sky kind of day out there. Looks windy. There's a flag for a little business across the street that their flag's just been flapping away in the wind all morning. So I have no idea what the temperature is. Haven't been outside. So hubby's gone for a walk. I'll check with him when he gets home what it's actually like outside. But it's a gorgeous, gorgeous, sunny, bright, sunny day out there. So nice, very nice. If you're a new viewer, welcome, and I'm so happy to have you here to see me today. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back for another week to see what my progress is and what I've been up to since I last talked to you. And what else is new? Not much is new. So earlier this week, I had a virtual conference that I attended. So I spent the better part of Sunday afternoon, evening, all day Monday, most of Tuesday, parked in front of the computer, staring at the computer screen and happily knitting away. So I did get a fair bit of knitting and crocheting done this past week. And this week coming up, I expect I'm not sure if I'll get as much done. Although Tuesday and Thursday, I have online meetings and professional development things going on. So I will be parked in front of the computer, staring at the screen. The better part of Tuesday, it'll be all day. I think it's from 9 till 5. So I expect to get a goodly bit of knitting done on Tuesday. Thursday, I think it only runs from 9 till 3. I have a couple different meetings then. So I do expect to get a fair bit of knitting done then. That's probably about the only thing and the only good thing I have to say about being able to spend or having to spend multiple hours a day on Zoom. If I'm just participating and watching, I can do a lot of knitting while I'm watching. I can drop my knitting and jot down notes as I want to. But otherwise, I can sit and watch. So this probably all should have gone in the yakety section at the end. Anyway, so this past week, as I said, I've got a fair bit of progress done. Last week I showed you my first finished object for 2021. And as soon as that was done, I started 2 new projects, and since I talked to you last week, I have three projects on the needles now, or in progress right now. And I've actually spent some time every day except one since I talked to you last week, where I have spent some time each day working on each of the 3 projects. So I'm not monogamous. I do have 3 on the go, but I have made a conscious effort of working on all 3 of them every day, except one project I didn't get to one of those days. But that's fine. I've still made good progress. So first off, I'm sipping a cup of tea. It's early afternoon here, so I'm still using caffeine. And I've showed you this one before, I think. This is a Christmas present from one of my Christmas presents from the hubby. It's a spiced black tea. It is so good. It is so, so good. I really like it. What does it have? Black tea leaves, orange peel, cinnamon chips, and flavoring. And it has a really, really nice flavor to it. It's mild. It's got a light cinnamon flavor, a light citrusy flavor to it. Sorry, I had a hair. It's always something, isn't it? Last week I think there was something in my eye. This week I've got a hair tickling my nose. Anyway, So that's my tea that I'm sipping on today. So let's take a look at my works in progress. So my first one, he's so cute. I'm making good progress on this, but the thing to note with this one, this R. English, Karen. Oh my goodness. English is your only language. Okay, these are the Mitten Garland Advent Calendar, and are part of. It's basically a set of 24 little miniature mittens, so they don't fit, or at least they don't fit my hands, and particularly not that hand. But you can see they're quite a bit. They're not tiny, but there's no way I'm starting the decreasing already on the body. But they're miniature mittens that will eventually be 24 little mittens that I'm going to use for decoration next winter for Christmas. The pattern is by Kathy Lewinsky. I'm using 2.25 millimeter needles, or US size 1, and I'm using Knit Picks palette yarn. A lot of them they're just leftovers. Like the white is just like a last little bit of a skein. This one is, what color is this one? Pimento. I don't have the little name taggies for all of them. Some of them I do have them tucked inside. A lot of them I don't. And I'm just going to be using various colors. They're going to be mostly in reds, whites, tan, and green. Will be the 4 basic colors I'll be using. So again, it's just all kinds of leftovers I have of my Knit Picks palette yarns. Fingering weight. So this pattern, I think I talked about this last week when I filmed. A group of my friends and I online, they're a group of online friends, we all decided that between them, I don't know, there's 6 or 8 of us. I think 6 or 8 of us. I forget how many of us are actually doing these. But we decided we wanted to do a year-long knit along with each other. And we mulled over various pattern ideas, and this was the one we decided on. And what we're going to do is we're going to knit them at a leisurely pace all year. So you're never going to see huge progress. You're not going to see me next week with 4 little mittens done. Next week you will see this one finished, and day number 2 will have just a teeny start to it. And what we decided is that every day we will each do 5 rows. And then so tomorrow we'll do the next 5 rows, and so on until I think we finish this one on the 14th. Something like that, 13th or 14th. And once we finish the first one, then we'll go on and we'll cast on the second one, and again do 5 rows per day for the rest of that mitten, and so on and so on. And basically once we get to the end, by I believe it's the 2nd of December, we will have completed all 24 mittens, and we will have done 5 rows a day for the entire year, almost the entire year. So for 11 months. So that's going to be a slow, long process. I'm not going to count that as a finished object until they're all 24 are completely done in the beginning of December. I'm probably going to push it a little bit at the very end, just so that I have them all 100% done, so I can hang them up and that they're ready to hang up on the 1st of December for Advent. So that's my first work in progress. When you see them next week, mitten number 1 will be complete. Mitten number 2 will just barely be started. I might have 5 or 10 rows. So I just finished row 45 this morning. So tomorrow I'll do row 41 through 40, or 41, finished up to 45, Knit up to 45, end of 45 today. Tomorrow I will do 46 through 50. And then the day after it'll be 50 till the top of the mitten. And then the following day I will do part of the thumb. And then the last day I will finish the thumb and then do all the finishing touches. I'll tuck in the tails and all of that stuff. So that's project number one. And as I say, I'm making slow and steady progress with it. I tend to work on that one. That's the first project I touch each day. I will pick it up first thing in the morning when I get up and I'm just poking around online and checking a few things out, and I will, while I'm sipping a cup of tea, I will happily knit my 5 little rows on the mitten. Then I put that one aside and then I move on to my next work in progress that I spend time on during the day. So that's my first work in progress. That was one that you saw the beginnings of it last week, and you've seen the amount of progress I've made, slow and steady, little bit of progress every day this week on that. My second work in progress, you saw this last week as well. This is a crochet project, and it's my granny stripe blanket. It's going to be a lap blanket when it's done, so I can snuggle under it when I'm watching TV in the evening all winter, because it's cold and drafty at this end of our apartment. And the living room, where I sit in the living room, it's near a big bay window, and it is cold and drafty there. So I often have something draped over. I usually have my mitered square, my scrap wrap over my shoulders. And now I'm getting this knit so I can wrap it and lay it over my lap. So I'm gonna be like a little old lady sitting there at the TV watching in the evenings, all bundled up in all my little blankies. But it keeps me warm. Like I say, it's a cold and drafty at this end of the apartment. So this is my granny stripe blanket by Lucy of Attic 24. I'm using a 4.5 millimeter crochet hook, which is midway between a G and H crochet hook in US sizes. So this is just an old crochet hook that I've had since, oh gosh, I bought a set of them when I still lived in Canada, and I was probably in my early 20s when I bought this. I've had these crochet hooks for a long time. I love them. But this is my granny stripe blanket, and I'm just using random sock yarn scraps. They're all the ones that are still scraps of sock yarn that I have after I finish my mitered square blanket. And I have made fantastic progress this week. So when you saw it last week, where's my marker? Let me fold it this way so you can see where my... So last week I was way down here. I had done this first purple and I was midway through doing the black. So I have gone from here all the way up to here. And it's fairly wide. Like I say, it is going to be for throwing over my lap. That's why it's... Hold up, I got the... So it is going to be fairly wide once it's done. Because I do want it, I might double it up. But again, here's my progress. So I made some really good progress on this. This project I typically work on while I'm parked in front of the TV in the evening. Since this whole pandemic thing started up and we went into lockdowns and all that kind of stuff, the hubby and I have got into a habit of watching a movie every evening. We have literally, except for when he was out of town at a work retreat for 3 days, we have watched a movie or some sort of TV episode or episode of a TV show we're following every single night since like the 13th of March. So we usually have a good hour to 2.5, 3 hours every evening parked in front of the TV. This project is perfect for that. I learned to crochet first. It's actually, I find crochet much faster, and it works up quite quickly for me. So a lot of these yarns, I'm not going to remember what all of them are. Some of them I will, but a lot of them I don't. This one here was part of an Advent yarn swap I did with a friend of mine in the UK. This is a little bit of leftover. This blue is a little leftover from one of my hand-dyed yarns. So is this red. I have no idea what this one is. And there's a whole bunch here that were really small little, some were like tiny little balls of yarn. I'm not going to waste anything. So a lot of these are really short little, some of them are only half the length of the blanket. Some of them go only once or once in a little bit. I'm using up everything, and I'm trying to do it so that I don't use the same yarn twice. Then I went back to doing, and these I had, this section here, I had taken a bunch of those and I had done them up into, I just did like a magic knot and did them up into like a big ball of yarn. I have another one sitting over on my desk by the computer. I think once I'm done with the purple, I might switch over and do another block that's narrow stripes. So I've got like wider stripes, then narrow stripes, then wider stripes. I might continue doing it that way. Stay tuned. We'll see what happens along the road. So this one is another one of my hand dyed, and this one, and these three are all my own hand dyed. The purple, I can't remember where the purple came from, but let's say I've made a lot of progress on that this past week. I did make a boo-boo. I grabbed the wrong crochet hook and went up to a 5mm, but about the last 2 rows of the burgundy, all of the gray, and then I had got 2 rows into the purple, and I realized that I had grabbed the wrong crochet hook. So I pulled the whole darn thing out and redid that. So this part here, I crocheted twice. Oh well, it did get done. So stay tuned for next week to see. As I say, I'll be working on this every night. The plans are to work on it every night this week coming up. So I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if you see a similar amount of progress. It'll probably be double the size by next week. Who knows, with it by January I might be finished with it. I say crochet goes quickly for me. So this is not a project that's going to, this is not mitered squares. This will not stay on the needles for 6 years. It'll be done probably within a month or 2. And then I'll happily be ready to find something else to cast on. Or what do you call it when you start a crochet project? You don't cast on, chain on? I don't know. Anyway, so that is my progress on my granny stripe. And so those are my 2 works in progress that you've seen last week and again this week. Now, since last Saturday when I filmed this podcast last time, I started one more project. So I have a total of 3 works in progress. So my new cast on is a project I've wanted to do for, it's been in my queue, it's been on my list of, I want that sweater so bad. Oops, spoiler. It's been on my list of things that I really wanted to make for at least 2 or 3 years now, that it's been in my queue that I really wanted to make it. I got the yarn for it last spring. I've had the yarn for a while. And I finally took the plunge and I cast on my Demyakalopa. And again, this is one I've wanted to do for a long time. And so far so good. I'm making, not breaking any land speed records, but I'm happy with my progress. So this is Demyakalopa by Pinaguri, and it is a color work top-down cardigan. It will have a steek up the front once the knitting is finished, so that's something that excites and terrifies me. I know it's going to be perfectly fine. It's nothing to be scared of. I'm using sticky yarn. Nothing's gonna happen. But just the thought of spending hours and hours knitting a sweater and then cutting it just kind of strikes terror in my heart. But I'm also excited to try it because it's something I've never done yet. And that is one of the things on my 2021 list of things to do, is to make my first steeked garment. So again, Demyakalopa by Pinaguri. I'm using both the 2.75 and a 3.0 millimeter needles. The 2.75 is for the collar, and it'll be for the cuffs and the ribbing at the bottom and the button bands. So it's 2.75 or US 2, and then for the body of the sweater I'm using 3 millimeter needles or US 2.5. I am using Holst Super Soft yarn for this sweater, and let's take a look at all my colors. How do you like the fancy project bag? This is just where I keep it in. I'm planning on working on this at home all the time, so for now it's parked in here. So the colors I'm using, let me get my cheat sheet out. My main color is silver gray. So it's a pretty kind of a light-ish cool tone gray. So that's my main color. My key contrast color, the first contrast color, is cobalt. So those are the two colors that you'll see in the bulk of the body. So the gray will be the bulk of the body, and then the blue, the cobalt blue, it will be all the little fleas all through the sweater. The other contrast colors that I'm using are this one, which is indigo. This is a dark navy blue. I'm also using pineapple and robin's egg and breeze. It's the last blue. So basically it's all gray and blue is the bulk of it. Let's see if I can get these into a little family picture. So these are all my colors for my Demyakalopa. So my main color, the fleas, and then indigo, robin egg, breeze, and pineapple. I'm not sure if these are the best contrasty colors. I'm relatively new and inexperienced with selecting colors for colorwork sweaters. So it's a learning process. If I really like the sweater once it's done, perhaps I'll make another one, and I'll choose colors that have more pop and more major contrast between the colors. Maybe not. We'll see. I don't know if I'll make another one. So on Sunday, so I last filmed last Saturday on the 3rd, the 2nd, yeah, January 2nd. On Sunday the 3rd, I did a small little gauge swatch and decided that the 3mm needles gave me very close to the correct, the gauge that was listed in the pattern. So I was comfortable opting for using the 3mm needles for the body of the sweater. Then on Monday the 4th, I cast it on. And I've made some pretty good progress. It's not a ton, but it's the beginnings of my sweater. And I'm enjoying it. I'm really enjoying the process of working on this. So some of the contrast might not be, it's not bad. In this light it doesn't look too bad. But here's where, oh, stop. So here's where we're at. So far with this. And I'm happy with it. I'm not quite sure that the contrast is, I had the best choices in colors for contrast, but at this point I'm not taking it out and starting over. Maybe in hindsight I might have swapped out a few of the colors from the chart and added even more contrast colors. Added a few pops of maybe pink or purpley colors. But it is what it is. I'm happy with it. I kind of want to stick to the pattern as best I can right now, where this is doing a top-down colorwork yoke sweater. It's the first time I've done this. So I don't really think I want to kind of play around with experimenting and doing my own thing. It might not end well if I try that. So I kind of want to stick to going by the book. I kind of want to follow the pattern just to make sure that it's going to turn out the way it's supposed to turn out. So one of the things I did do was I created my own colorwork chart. I printed out the pattern, and the part of the pattern that shows the charts is way too small for my eyes, with the reading glasses. It's just way too tiny for my aging eyeballs. And I don't have a color printer. So seeing 6 different colors on a colorwork chart, I couldn't decipher which color was which on my printed copies. So I just created a page in Excel, printed it out, and took my pencil crayons to it. It took me 3 or 4 tries because I messed up a couple times and I put the wrong color in the wrong spot, and the pencil crayons I have don't erase properly. So it took me several tries to get it right, but I finally did get it all set and proper so that I'm able to follow the chart easily now. So like I say, I'm making decent progress on it. I'm at the point now where I've just finished the row where you did the third set of increases in the yoke, and there's one more set of increases coming up in another about 10. I have to do 10 more rows, and then I'm ready for the next increase. So I cast it on Monday. I worked on it Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday I had other things going on. I didn't get a chance to work on it on Wednesday afternoon. What was I doing Wednesday afternoon? I don't know. It's escaped me. But I didn't get a chance to work it on Wednesday, and then I worked on it again Thursday and Friday. So what my routine has been this past week is I get up in the morning, I pick up my Advent mitten, and I do those 5 rows while I'm sipping on a cup of tea. Then I switch over and I start working on Demyakalopa and watch some podcasts and things like that. So when I'm taking breaks from work stuff and things like that, I spend a bit of time working on Demyakalopa. And then once it gets to evening time, we're watching TV, I switch over and I work on my granny stripe blanket while we're parked in front of the TV watching whatever movie it is for the day. So we range from everything from movies from the 1930s up to pretty much anything and everything is fair game. We just splurged last month, and one of our Christmas gifts to ourselves was to buy a Disney Plus membership. So we have Hulu and Disney subscription, so there's oodles of movies to watch, oodles of TV shows that we want to watch as well. The one thing we did go through and watched, we kind of burnt through that pretty quickly, was The Mandalorian. Oh, I love that show. I was kind of disappointed that it might be almost a year before I can see another episode now. Oh well. But we really enjoyed that. So that was something we watched over several nights. Last night we watched Seabiscuit, and the night before we watched an episode of Charlie Chan from like 1936 or something like that. So we're watching all sorts of movies, which gives me a really good chance to work on some crochet. I really don't want to try to follow a color work pattern, even though the color work design in this sweater, it's not a complicated design, but I do have to pay attention to what I'm doing because, again, color work is, I haven't done a lot of color work. So I am excited to keep working on that. I plan on working that a little bit more this afternoon, and then this evening I'll switch over to Granny Stripes and keep working on that one. And then tomorrow morning I'll get the next 5 rows on the mitten will be done. So I'll go from 46 to 50. So next week I might not get as much done next week. Next week I'm back at work more intensely than I have been this week. I'm an academic, I work as a professor, and we start back to classes on the 19th of January, but next week we have a couple professional development things. I need to make sure all my courses are all set and lined up and organized and ready to roll out on the 19th of January when the semester starts up again. I just need to work on all of that, make sure that's all set and ready. So I will be doing a lot more work-related things, whereas this past week I've kind of not done as much. I've kind of enjoyed a little bit of, the beginning of the week I did have that conference that I attended virtually. But for the last couple days, I've just kind of said, we'll just watch some podcasts and knit. So the knitting might slow down in the next couple weeks. Who knows? We shall see. And I also have to get back on to doing a lot more research. So I am going to have to start getting my calendars set up so that I'm making sure I spend a good amount of time on all my work-related stuff and make sure I'm able to tie in some knitting time into there as well. And other than that, what else? Oh, I'm just looking out the window and I just saw a food truck pull up out front. It's one of our favorites. Dieting stinks. Oh, they make such good food. It's barbecue. Pulled pork. Anyway, okay, Karen, focus. Quit thinking of food. But anyway, before I fall off the rails any farther here, I should get going. I'm not planning on casting on anything new for the next little while at least. I might start another project once I finish my granny stripe, but for right now I really don't think I'm going to cast on anything new and keep this at three whips, because I am finding that I'm able to keep focusing on each of them, and I'm able to spend some time each and every day on each of my whips. So as long as I continue being able to spend some time each day on each project, or at least each week spend some time on each of my projects, that's a comfortable number of whips for me personally. I am tempted with other projects that I'd love to cast on. I have a couple shawls that I'm eyeing up, but I'm gonna resist the temptation. They'll go on my favorites, they'll go on my queue on Ravelry, and they might turn up as whips a little ways down the road. But for now, I'm gonna show some self-control when it comes to knitting. and try my hardest not to cast on anything new until something else is finished. Alrighty, I don't think I have anything much else. Yeah, I think that's about it. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with me again this week. I hope you enjoyed this and hope you liked seeing what I was working on and enjoyed seeing the progress I've made. And I will see you again in another week. Alrighty, take care everyone. I'll see you in a week. Bye.